Hi guys, when Liz Truss sacked her Chancellor and then resigned herself shortly after crashing the economy, you would be forgiven for thinking that she would disappear in embarrassment, never to be heard from again. Now that is what would normally happen, but when Boris Johnson took over the Tory party some years ago, up is down and down is up. Liz Truss, it seems, is testing the water for some sort of comeback, and it looks likely that the headbangers in the Tory party may be willing to put her in charge once again. She and they believe that she was wronged, driven out of office by the blob. Well, she was at the Tory Party Conference talking absolute tripe once again. Have a listen.
What I want to talk about today is three things that we can do now as Conservatives to really change the agenda. Axing the tax, cutting the bills, and building the homes. So let's start with axing the tax. We need to unleash business across Britain. We need people to want to invest in our country. We need businesses to be able to expand, to grow, to create new jobs, to create new ideas. That's why I'm calling upon the Chancellor at the autumn statement to put corporation tax back down to 19%. And frankly, if we can get it lower, the better. Because what we know is we know that when businesses are able to keep more of those funds, the future comes from. It's where the opportunities come from. It's where the jobs come from. And what we know is that at the moment, we're seeing businesses not locate in the United Kingdom. We saw AstraZeneca choose to locate elsewhere. We've seen small companies struggling with the level of tax and regulation. We've seen a flight out of Britain of high net worth individuals, third only to India and China, and in fact, ahead of Russia. So what we need to do is we need to be hungry to get those businesses back. We need to be hungry to attract business to our country, and we need to make the Conservative Party the party of business again.
What absolute tripe. Okay. And of course, maybe she was making a reference to Boris Johnson when Boris Johnson said something about business some years ago. It was interesting that the camera switched to Nigel Farage before breaking. I wonder what that was about. Anyway, so she mentioned a number of things here, axing the tax. So she believes that if you reduce corporation tax, this will attract investment. And she didn't point out Ireland here, but she did make a slight reference to Ireland when she mentioned AstraZeneca moving its operations to Ireland. Of course, and many Brexiteers will say, well, that's because of the low corporation tax. In reality, part of it is related to tax, but the corporation tax that the Tories try to trumpet as being a wonderful incentive for businesses to move to Ireland is not exactly as clear-cut as that. But the real point, of course, is that Ireland is a member of the European Union and a member of the single market. Brexiteers won't mention that fact. But they'll only talk about cutting corporation tax. Now, Truss also said, well, if you cut taxes, then businesses will have more money to invest. Well, not all businesses do that. A lot of them buy back shares, or they buy shares in other companies, or they hoard the money, or they invest it in something else. They don't actually hire people. They don't expand their business. A lot of businesses don't do that. So cutting corporation tax, and of course, if you cut corporation tax, it means there's less money for the exchequer, less money for public services. Once again, she's trying to push, and I believe she's getting this advice from the Tufton Street people, this trickle-down economics idea that has been proven as a failure. It doesn't work. Giving money to rich people doesn't trickle down to the poorest in society. And what she's doing here, of course, is cutting corporation tax means you're cutting public services as well, because you'll have less money for them. But this idea that if we cut corporation tax, it will attract investment. But if you're putting up barriers to that investment, such as Brexit, where you don't allow the businesses to access the workers they need, and there is also massive amounts of red tape for importing and exporting, and people like Liz Truss want to diverge from EU standards, well, she wants to increase that red tape. So how are you going to attract investment if you're going to say, well, if you want to import something, you want to export something, we're going to make it more difficult. If you want to access workers, we're actually going to make it more difficult. how's that going to attract investment? How's that going to grow the economy? It's not. It's just, once again, the same rubbish we heard last year. And unfortunately, it works on some people. It works on the Tory members. They want her back, it seems. And she may actually get back. Maybe not as Prime Minister, but maybe as leader of the Conservative Party. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot.